Hello everyone and welcome to Solshow. Today we're talking about a little superhero, super villain story. You might have heard of this character. We are talking about Venom. And normally I don't even talk about comic book movies, or at least the superhero comic book hero movies. Normally for that is because I'm not really into comics and I want to get into comics before I rewatch all these movies one day. And until then, I get to go to the movies and not have to make a review for every goddamn film I watch. So comic book movies are usually my one little, hey, I don't gotta make a video once I watch that movie. However, I recently saw Venom and I thought, hey, this is as much its own thing. I can talk about this one. Plus, I fucking loved Spider-Man as a kid, man. When I was a little kid, Venom was my Spider-Man villain. I remember playing some of the PS1 games, a lot of the games I played, the little bits of the show I watched. He was always the bad guy, and whenever I watched the Spider-Man trilogy, the original Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy, I was like, Venom, Venom, Venom. And then Spider-Man 3 happened, I was like, okay, let's suppress this memory. Let's suppress this memory. However, I went into this movie not really knowing what to expect. Some people didn't like this movie at all. Some people liked it. And I thought, hey, maybe I'll be like somewhere in the middle. However, that was not the case. I am actually here to defend 2018 movie Venom. Now, I've gone to the film a couple times this year, thinking I'd not like a movie. Pacific Rim 2, I liked a lot more than I thought I would. I liked Han Solo a lot more than I thought I would. And I can understand why people don't like this movie. It exhibits a lot of tropes in today's superhero movies that are really getting cliche and dumb. And it's also trying to be like a film from like 10 years ago, and it exhibits the worst parts of those films. Tom Hardy's voice is like a crack away from being a comedic parody character. All the other characters in this film consist of, you know, your very cliche, cheesy bad guy, scientist guy, who we've seen in way too many superhero movies. And then we have Venom himself, and I don't know why I was expecting like the Darkness, the Xbox 360 game, to come to life. And I thought he was gonna be this weird edgelord. I thought that's why people didn't like this movie, that it was too edgy. No, that's not who Venom was. He was very much although a parasite and a character who looks like a fucking demon monster made of goo, but that is not the case at all in this movie. In this movie, Venom is funny. He is a buddy cop character. He, although is always arguing with Tom Hardy, never like completely goes against his will or shows that he has any bad faith towards him, even though that is what we are led to believe. And a lot of people were trying to say in this film that Tom Hardy doesn't have any character development. I beg to differ. What Tom Hardy goes through in this movie is basically like any other superhero film. He is going through a physical change that suddenly develops mentally and changes him as a person in the end of the film. He is, unlike other superhero movies, not developing powers. He is developing a parasite that controls his body, so he's not like going through this more morale way of saving people. He is literally using an evil force within him to possibly even murder these bad guys. He is on a much more selfish quest because he is a selfish guy. He is a glory hound. He's a fucking Gryffindor. And he expects these things to go his way because his life was so perfect up to this point. And then he realizes being selfish like that is not the way to go, so he gives himself up to this fucking demon monster of all things, and that demon monster happens to be the thing that tells him, hey, maybe you should at least apologize for being such a fucking asshole. And then he's not such a fucking asshole, and he develops a prospering, potentially, relationship with the person he did wrong. Boom! Character development. Another complaint I heard with this film was the bad guy, and I get that the bad guy is a cliche Green Goblin, every other Spider-Man villain type character. Green Goblin, Doc Ock, the Lizard Man, this guy. They're all fucking creepy scientist guys who are abusing their Jurassic Park power and they want to take over the world probably, or some other crazy shit, and the power goes to their head and they start killing people and lose sense of morality. Yeah, we've seen it before. It's a little bit different because I'm not going to give up the twist, but for those of you who have seen the film, they're able to incorporate a whole other part of this movie that was happening. It was a little bit redundant, but we got an idea of this bigger, badder guy, and bigger, badder guy meets our already bad guy and uses him to propel the act even further. So when the final act of this movie is happening, you care just a little bit more based on these two characters that are set up. That's why I thought the bad guys of this film worked. However, when it all led up to this big, gigantic fight, it was the worst superhero battle I have seen in quite a while. And 2018 has been a tough film to beat on terms of superhero battles. We got the Avengers versus Thanos. We got Baby Jack versus the Wild Raccoon in Incredibles 2. And now we have Venom, and all it brings up to the table is this terrible CGI garbage battle that you can barely see, you can barely understand what's going on. Neither of these characters' powers are really fully developed even, so you don't understand the power scaling. There's no understanding of the fundamentals of this battle. There's no knowledge. It's a bunch of shit being thrown at the screen and all of it's fucking trash, and it's the worst part about this entire film. However, the ending is fun. The after credits scene is fun. The little ending scene, although it was teased in the trailer, unfortunately, goddamn you Sony, it was fun. And it all led up to a trailer for another film. That's how we're using after credit scenes. We're gonna use them for trailers now. They're not ads. They're not literal ads, Sony. You're not supposed to actually literally put a fucking ad at the end of your movie. That's not why we're sitting here. We're here for content, not advertisements. Why are the lines of these things blurring so much? By the way, I would just like to say that this video is sponsored by all my other channels, and you should keep watching and never stop clicking. I'm not using anything that you're doing online monetarily. I just want to point that out. And your free time is important to me, so I use your free time by delivering you the best content possible. But I'm also going to advertise to you. God, I hate society. But Venom, I should probably close up my review for that before I go on a bigger tangent. It's a fun movie. Everything I like about this movie is in all the other superhero movies I love. Everything I hate about this movie is in all the other superhero movies I still love. If you hate this movie for the reasons that I keep hearing about, you must literally hate most of, if not all, the comic book movies that have come out in the past 10 years, because it's just another one of these films. You either don't like these movies, or you are just sick of them at this point. I understand the latter. I am sick of them too, but that doesn't mean in a standalone complex that Venom is unenjoyable. It's a fun movie, and just because it's on a fucking assembly line doesn't mean that it doesn't fucking work. It does its job. It's here to please, and please it does. I'm gonna give Venom an 8 out of 10 and the Soul Badge of approval. Anyway guys, that's my review of Venom. If you would like some more juicy content, I'm sure it's somewhere on this page. I'm sure somewhere down in the comments you can talk about it. And I'm sure there are some links to other social media sites that you continue the conversation and just make it a more prosperous community, because that's what you do because you're a cool person. Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching as always, and until next time, with that, I leave you.